Over the last 13 or so years here at Survival on Purpose, we've taken a look at a whole lot of sharp stuff from the folks at Tops Knives. Well, in today's Sharp Saturday video, as you probably saw in the video title, we're going to take a fresh look at what I think is my favorite Tops knife design of all time, at least so far, talking about the Andy Tran design Tahoma Field Knife. That's what's coming up next here on Survival on Purpose. Welcome back to Survival on Purpose. My name's Brian. Thanks for joining me for another Sharp Saturday video where it's Saturday. We take a look at something sharp. Like I said, today that something sharp is going to be this Andy Tran design Tops Tahoma Field Knife. And I'll tell you right up front, there's liable to be a little rambling in this video because I have a story to tell you about this knife in just a minute. But first, as usual, today's words of wisdom from the Bible. Today's wisdom is from the book of John, chapter 15, verse 17, in the NLT, I believe. These are read in my Bible. This is my command, love each other. And of course, a big thank you to my friends at Hog Holsters, not only for making the most comfortable, most concealable holster I ever tried, and that I have been carrying now for over 10 years, but also for being the longest running channel sponsor here at Survival on Purpose. Like many people, I went through a whole lot of holsters trying to find the best holster for me. Once I found Hog Holsters, I quit looking. Hog Holsters are 100% made in the USA, even down to the screws. And every Hog Holster is individually crafted to fit your specific pistol model. No one size fits all at Hog Holsters. Hog Holsters are helping Americans wear guns. And if somewhere you need to type something in their website, if you just type in Survival on Purpose, all one word, you'll be glad you did. That's all I can say about that right now. So, but anyway, thanks to Hog Holsters for sponsoring the channel and today's video. Now, let's get you down to the old stump top and get to doing some of that knife stuff. You want to? Alrighty, so here is the Andy Tran design Tops manufactured Tahoma Field Knife. And as you can see, this is a pretty good sized knife with a 13.94 inch overall length, a blade length of 7 3/4 inches with a cutting edge of 7.31 inches. It has a secondary edge up here. This one is not sharpened. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. Of 2.75 inches, and the blade thickness on this is 0.19 inches, so almost 1/5 of an inch thick. The blade shape, as you can see, is a spear point. The steel is 1095 with a Rockwell hardness of 56 to 58. The blade finish is tungsten Cerakote, and the handle material is canvas micarta. This one is brown. They also make it in black. This knife weighs 19 ounces. It comes with a sheath. This is a black canvas micarta sheath, and with the sheath, and it weighs 25 ounces, and the sheath is black ballistic nylon, has a MOLLE adaptable backing, a leg lanyard with the top whistle that comes with all their knives, and a belt loop up here. Also has some lashing rings here if you want to lash it somewhere. Has a little pocket on front of the sheath for whatever you want to carry in it. I've got the Easy Lap folding sharpener in here. Andy kind of recommended that, so I figured it would go good with his knife. And this one has two Velcro closures. Now let's go ahead also and take a look at a couple of features on this knife. So it has this scoring notch, cutting notch on the back here, so you can use this for scoring bone or whatever to make a clean break if you're trying to make something with some bone or antlers. You can also use it for putting wire in there and breaking wire. Has a hole here, which is Andy designed this for pulling bullets from the cartridges if you want to access the powder inside to help you with fire starting. Also, you can use this for lashing, to help lash this to make a spear or whatever as you wrap it around. Has a sleeved lanyard hole here, a pry bar here, so you don't have to use a knife for a prier. If you need to pry into something, you can put a sheath on it and protect the blade and use that. Bow drill divots on both sides. Finger choil up here for some close-up work, as well as some thumb ramp jimping here, just to help you get good control there when you're doing some carving work, because it is a big knife, so it gives you a better balance. But it's a big knife for a reason. It has a finger groove here, and then you can also hold it back here with a handle. The handle curvature gives you really good leverage for chopping. So we're going to test all that out. All together, like I said, this is, I think, my favorite Tops knife. So let's get to the science real quick, and then I promise you a story. I'm going to tell you a little bit of story, and there's going to be a little bit of rambling, so you have to bear with me. But let's go with the science first. And I like to check the sharpness of every knife using the pretty much the internationally recognized standard sharpness test, the redneck sharp test. So we're going to try that one here and see how well it does. And let's just see. It's a big old knife, but Okay. Man, would you just look at all that horror there? Yep, Tops didn't get the memo about having to sharpen new knives. We'll try the other side just to be fair. Oh man. Okay, yeah. She will cut, as Doug Markita says. So there's that. Now I'm going to back you up a little bit. We're going to do a little bit of that big knife stuff, and I'll tell you a little story about this knife, this particular model knife, as we go. Before we start with the heavier knife stuff, I want to tell you a quick story about this knife as I'm kind of gathering things up. So Andy Tran is a former like X Games videographer guy who's wound up becoming a Forest Service, park ranger, law enforcement, or whatever. But he's a long range shooter and a lot of other things. But he was kind of living in the Cascade Mountain area. And so he carried a lot of camera gear with him when he would go out making some of these videos. And he wanted a knife that was able to do a lot of stuff and he wouldn't have to carry a hatchet and different things. So he designed this knife to be a one-tool option that would allow him to chop smaller stuff and just to do what he needed to do. Plus, in the Cascades, you know, you probably heard there's a lot of rain there. It's a very moist environment. So he wanted to be able to baton into the center of different wood, then maybe get to some dry stuff to start a fire when you need to start a fire. So that's what he designed this kind of primarily for. So we're gonna try to follow along with that and baton some wood here in just a minute with this little it's not a big chunk of wood. We're gonna try to baton it out a little bit. I'm actually gonna go across it and try to make some kind of like a hearthboard size for a bow drill, which we may look at in another video. But last time I tried it on a knife review video, it was a 20-minute disaster. So, but I have a somewhat a baton here, so we'll bang into this and I'll tell you a little more of the story. So that turned out kind of thick, but that's probably what I need really. So, okay, so that's the pretty decent job of splitting this out using the baton method. Let's talk about some of the other things on this. So I like the spear point because it does give you the ability to go ahead. If we're going to use this for a bow drill, we would go ahead and start our little divot here, our hole. And by the way, I know I said I was going to tell you a story about this knife, and I'm going to, but I think we'll wait till after we do some of this testing because I'm not really good at multitasking. So we'll call that a start. Now we want to go ahead and see if we can do a little notch in here. And typically you want the notch to be maybe smaller at the top than at the bottom, I believe. And it kind of undercuts. So we're gonna roll it back there a little bit, kind of mark that, roll it back there. I like to make it on an angle. And I'll be the first one to admit I'm probably not the right person to be giving lessons about doing this because my batting average, so to speak, with the bow drill is less than optimal. We'll say it that way. How about that? But we're going to endeavor to persevere. Chop that in a little bit there. Chop this one in on the other side a little bit. And mostly I just want to show you that you can actually do some finer work with such a big blade because it is a very good design. So there we go. So the next step would be to burn this in and finish that notch out. But we're not going to do that. Like I said, I'll do another video about a bow drill fire with this knife specifically. But what I do want to do, let's go ahead and split this out a little more. You know what, let's do it like this. How about that? When you got a big old honking knife, you can do a lot of stuff you can't do with a little skinny knife. This is a solid piece of steel. So let's carve some of them there curls. You want to? And this big saber grind too, it's just like, man, it carves really, really good. So while I'm carving these, I'll tell you my story real quick. So I had just started this channel about 6 months earlier in 2013, November 2013. And I think in March or so, 2014, I got an email from a guy named John Heffron from Wingman 115 channel. Shout out to John, and said that he and Andy Tran, who had the Inner Bark Outdoors channel, did a little live kind of a live video meetup once a month, and invited me to be on it. And I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive, because I was I just started. I didn't have any contacts or anything in the industry or anything. And they did, and I got to kind of learn to know them, and turned out they're really good guys. And Andy was really on top of his game as far as outdoor skills. And I found out he was designing this knife, so I bought one from him. I really liked it a lot. And then I had this knife, and there's a couple of differences. I'll show you the differences real quick before we get to the next part. So first of all, if you order it from his website, you can decide, elect that you want snaps instead of Velcro, which I think is probably cool, because Velcro sometimes gets messed up. And then you can also elect to have the sharpened swedge. You can also do that from Tops. And honestly, when I reached out to Tops and asked them if they would like to be part of Sharp Saturday a couple years ago, we had that relationship going. And then they kind of asked me what I'd like to look at next, and I said, look, I had an original Tahoma Field Knife from Andy Tran, and it was stolen out of my truck along with a backpack full of other gear, I don't know, like 10 years ago maybe. And a guy named Chris Tanner from Prepared Mind 101 actually sent me his, and it did not have the sharpened swedge, and it he had some tape on the handle and stuff he'd done to it. And I like it, I still got it, but I wanted to sharpen swedge on it. So when I requested this one from Tops, somewhere in the communication, because I didn't really order it. If you order it, you're going to put that on there, right, on an order form through their website. But anyway, it didn't come sharpened. So another video we're going to do is sharpen this, and I'll show you that at some other point in time. But I still want to show it to you, because it is like, it's a pristine version of like literally one of my favorite knives ever, and it's just so handy. It does so many tasks really well. So that being said, next thing I want to do is see how well this thing will scrape some of that there fat wood. And I happen to have that there fat wood that I've had in my storage out here on the ground for, man, I don't know, at least 12 years. So we're going to carve some of that right here just to get the oxidation off of it, and we're going to see how well it will scrape. Because I love me some fat wood, right? And we'll put that over there because we don't want to waste any. This is God's golden goodness right here. We'll see how well it scrapes. This thing, the spine on it is not super sharp, but wow, okay, doing better than I thought. Let's see. Okay, we got a pretty good little bit there, real quickly. But now the true test. We'll pull out my second favorite ferro rod. And my first one is plastic with a little butane container on it. It says Bic on it. And we'll see how well this thing can scrape a ferro rod. Ooh, and we got her. So better than I thought it was. So what's next? Alrighty, so just want to kind of give you a quick look at some of the capabilities of this big old knife. But if you've been watching the channel for very long, you know that I'm all about the science. And to that end, we maintain a state-of-the-art, cutting-edge testing facility here at our worldwide headquarters. And you know that one of the tests I like to, in fact, possibly the main reason I make these videos, is to test the aerodynamic balance of every fixed blade using our balance, orientation, and rotation device. So that's what we're going to do. And again, boop, proper scientific methodology is critical. Let's do it. Whoop, 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 whoop. Look at that. It got me sometime during the process. I thought I felt a little nick. By the way, I had a comment just the other day on an older video about throwing knives, that was the stupidest thing anybody had ever seen. They would never, ever throw their tool. And I'm thinking, Yeah, I get it, but it's fun. And honestly, from a testing standpoint, since I'm not the greatest balance tester in the world, it does certainly provide some testing and results on the toughness of a blade. You see what I mean? Whoop, 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 whoop. Let's get recalibrated here. Whoop. I am banging this one. Whoop, 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 whoop. Let's try it once more. You know I can't quit on that. Okay. Well, that wasn't the greatest, but it stuck. So, I forgot to tell you, I realized I forgot to tell you the price on this thing. As you can imagine, it's not a super low budget knife. It's a big old honking knife. The manufacturer suggested retail price is $330. You can get it on Andy Tran's website at inner-bark.com. I'll put a link in the video description below for $250, and you're supporting the directly supporting the designer. And on his website, you can order it with snaps on the sheath, also with a black handle. You can order it with the sharpened swedge, which is I think that's 10 more bucks or something. I don't know. It's not very much. And he also has an option on his website for a high-quality American-made leather sheath for it, if you're interested in that. So, Blade HQ's got it for $230 something, so a little bit less money. You'll find this in a lot of different places. It is a very, very well-made knife from Tops Knives, very well-designed from Andy Tran. As you saw, it takes a licking and keeps on ticking, as I used to say. Very, very well-made knife, super strong. Like everything Tops makes, it's just a really good knife. Features the differential heat treating, so the edge is treated a little harder than the back. So when you're beating on it, as people say, you won't damage it. It makes it a lot stronger. And what can I say? I sound like a fanboy because our R1, this again is so far my favorite Tops knife of all times. The Andy Tran design, Tops built Tahoma Field Knife, and I think if you give it a shot, you'll like this knife. So that's it. I hope this video has been helpful. I really appreciate you kind of taking this walk down memory lane with me and to review and re-look at this cool knife. So that's it. Thanks again to Tops Knives for sending me this so I can show it to you. And as always, thank you for watching Survival on Purpose. Remember, survival's not an accident. Be prepared. I'll see you next time.